It's time now for my next guest, who, with his glitter-coated put-downs and Strictly Come Dancing, has been creating murder on the dance floor long before Barry Keoghan even dreamt of slurping his first bathwater. If you know, you know. But now he's swapping his paddle for his broomstick as he returns to the stage of the Board Gosh next month to play the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. Would you please welcome Craig Revel Horwood!
That was quite a good move, darling. Nice
You
move.
say
Smooth.
that. You say
I
that.
say that now because we're on television.
We are. Showbiz lies.
I like the entrance, the curtains and everything. That was wonderful.
We don't normally have those. We put those in just for you.
And I was actually teasing at the beginning of the show, just before anyone decides to complain about me giving a 0. I think you are absolutely magnificent on this show, Dave. I just want everyone to know that. You've grown up.
Well, you say I've grown up. This is because not a lot of people know this, but we go back a long way. We worked, we were figuring it out before the show.
Yeah, I think it was 2005.
Yeah, about
something like that.
20-odd years ago, we were on Comic Relief Fame Academy.
Fame Academy.
And this was before you took a nasty turn. This is, you know, this is when you were a nice judge and you were kind to people.
Actually, yes, that's true. Yeah, and I never thought you'd amount to anything. And look at you. Isn't that amazing? It's fabulous. It's great to see your progression in life, darling.
I feel I'm back in the Headmasters.
Yeah, you are. We just don't have Richard Parks with us.
We don't. I see you're coming from a little procedure. Is this a dance injury?
Yes, it is. It's from wearing high heels all my life and dancing in them. And my little toes got all squashed up like that. So I've had a procedure to flatten them out so I can paint my toenails and make them look beautiful in, you know, sandals.
Lovely.
It's not just for that. It is actually for dancing, yeah, because I was getting terrible wounds from these nasty bunions, dear. But now I have to wear these really cool shoes. I mean, they're pretty hideous, aren't they?
I think they're a look.
You know, I'm just saying, they're not a fashion statement.
No, they are a look.
Although some people do believe they are, oddly. Now that I've teamed them, you know, with a flair. Look at that, you know. You know. Teamed with a flair, everyone thinks that I'm trendy, but I still can't walk in them properly. But
will you be able to walk by the time you get to Dublin for Wizard of Oz? That's what we want to know.
This is my biggest issue. This is why I had this done 5 weeks ago, so I can slip my beautiful toes, new toes, into a nice pair of stilettos to come here.
to play the Wicked
Witch of the West, yeah.
Which is a stretch for you.
It is a little bit because she's quite harsh, but I've never been green, you see, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I love the show. I grew up with the show, Judy Garland, you know, and the musical that we're doing is the exact same as that on stage, with a few changes. Of course, Angela Webber and Tim Rice have done some new songs.
Never heard of them.
Nope. Well, one of them is called Red Shoe Blues, and that's what I'll be singing, which I cannot wait for. It's a really sort of great romp through life, that whole show. And it's great for whole families to come and see. You know, it's proper, fantastic, quality entertainment.
What I love is just listening to you talking about this now. It's clear that the stage is your first love, because we all know and love you from Strictly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, going right back, your first performance was Pimple on My Bum. Was that the first?
Oh, you're going way
I'm going way back.
That's when I was about 7. I had no idea who I was. I was wearing little... I had a blonde wig on. We had a dress-up box as kids. We used to do Christmas concerts for everybody. And we had sliding doors in our living room that slid open like this. And I had this great idea that I wear a feather boa. I put the pink shower cap wig thing on that Mum used to wear swimming. You know, they had hair coming out of them. And it was all rubber and it stank. It was one of those. And I made up this song especially for them to perform, called A Pimple on Your Bum. And I was all the way through it, giving it shimmies and everything like that, doing high kicks, and then I kicked this glass of red wine out of one of our guests' hands. My dad went ballistic, not only because there was red wine all over the green carpet, but because I was essentially in drag, and he was a naval man, you know, and that sort of became an issue. And it's sort of actually the reason I started dancing, oddly. And it's because, you know, my father was a desperate alcoholic and eventually died of alcoholism. But growing up in my hometown of Ballarat in Australia, and people don't even know I'm Australian either, because I've been here for 35 years. And I know a lot of people have these issues, but very rarely talk about them. And my dad was this horrendous alcoholic, and home life was absolutely appalling. There wasn't one night, you know, that we could ever invite anyone over. So dance, for me, when I started to learn to dance, which I tried to keep under wraps, Dad wasn't happy with it, because naval military person and, you know, naval brats. You know, but there was my only escape was sort of looking in the mirror and dancing to music. Obviously, I couldn't tell anyone in, like, my classmates, so I kept it hidden because being a ballet dancer or a dancer of any sort in the 70s was so wrong. You would just get chucked out of school. So for me, it was an escape not only from home life, but it gave me something that I thought I was good at, and I had people around me.
Got to be looking.
Oh dear!
There you are.
See, this is the reason I had to start dancing, because I was a little porker. I was a little porky kid. They used to call me Tits at school. Any wonder I'm deranged now and playing things like Witch. But you know, life got better actually when I started dancing, and then I got a job in a fantastic show called West Side Story, which was my first ever show, and then I completely fell in love with musicals, and it got me out of home life and all of that stuff. And then, of course, obviously much later on, my dad passed away from that whole thing. You know, it was quite sad.
How bad did it get with your dad?
Well, to the point where he tried to shoot my mum. He was going around, he shot a rifle, a shotgun. They called him Shotgun Phil. I mean, it was a disaster, a complete disaster. But you can imagine, and there's a lot of people out in the audience now, I know, that have lived through, you know, people or they know with alcoholism and having to live with it, even as a child or a mother or a grandparent, is just horrible.
I didn't know anything about this when I was working with you.
No, because I didn't want to telegraph. I didn't want to talk about it. And plus, Dad was still alive. And I felt uncomfortable with the whole thing, because he ended up a very sort of lonely old man, really, in the middle of the Australian outback, you know, on a trout farm. And I remember going there to see him, and the times were always brief. You know, he'd say, how you going, and all of that sort of stuff. And he'd watch some of the video footage of me, you know, on Strictly or whatever, and he would watch, I did Maestro at the opera, and I won that. And he was very, very proud of that. But, I mean, I never stopped him drinking. He gave up after he went to prison, and then Mum released all the charges because he just couldn't cope. And she decided to drop all the charges. He didn't come back home. They separated, obviously. But it did sort him out for a long time. I think for about 5 years. I mean, that's long in his alcoholism. And then he went back to it. Then he divorced himself from society entirely. And then my final sort of visit was, I was thinking, when I just saw him at the farm gate, I just thought, I don't think I'll ever see him again, actually. And the horror was, I didn't.
You didn't.
So, and I remember I was in Panto playing Captain Hook at the time, and his favourite tune was My Way. And I used to sing that through my death, you know, and I found out that he died, I think probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that, our time over here. And then I had to go on, and I didn't want anyone to know about it, really, because I just needed to get through the show and sing it and sort of dedicate it to him. But then, of course, it was leaked, I don't know how, in the press. And so I was dealing with all of that, the world sort of knowing, people wanting interviews about it, and I just wasn't sort of ready for it. You know, it was a shock, even though I was probably expecting it. But I know there are, as I say, a lot of people out there that have gone through it and have to and are still living with it. But you know, you can overcome it. Is what I'm saying.
You can, and for you sitting here, and for people, you know, to see, you know, the huge success and you know, people looking up to you, for you to even to be talking about this tonight is a big deal. So thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah, because I don't actually do that normally. You know, I put a straight face on Strictly Come Dancing because I'm judging and that's a job. For me, I put the hat on, you know, and I tell people the truth so I can hopefully inform their choices for the following week. Obviously, that sometimes is with a wink and a bit of a twinkle in the eye. But, you know, I do mean what I say.
I know you do.
It's actually very, very true what I say, you know, and I love it because it's waving the flag for dance, you know, and that's what I'm all about. And that's the thing that impassioned me my whole life and has led me to this wonderful world that I'm now, you know, reaping the benefits from. And it's fantastic. And doing something like Wizard of Oz and being here actually only last summer playing Miss Hannigan in Annie, which I loved. I mean, the Bord Gáis Theatre is probably the best theatre in the world backstage that I've ever been in. It's plush, darling. There's carpet. I mean, I just want to move in. It's absolutely...
Well, you are going to be moving in.
I know, but only for 2 weeks. I want it to be my apartment forever. It's so great, and you really looked after here, so I cannot wait. I just wish it was a whole month that I was here, but sadly, it's only 2 weeks. But those 2 weeks are going to be spectacular.
They are, and we are very, very much looking forward to seeing this man. Give it up one more time for Craig. Stay with us for a little bit.
Staying.
Lovely, he's staying. Put those feet up there. You can catch Craig, Dorothy, Toto and friends in the Wizard of Oz at Dublin's Bord Gáis Energy Theatre from the 20th of May right the way through to the 8th of June. Now,